Thank you for viewing this presentation. We are excited about how our product, the Quadriciser robotic therapy system, is benefiting students with multiple disabilities. Now let me ask you to please stand and participate in this next exercise. It will set the stage for what you are about to hear.
Put your hands right out in front of you and pull them back real tight, and then bend down and touch the floor, or just sit on the seat there. Yep. Okay. Now once again, let's do it again. Bring it in and then down here. Now when we bring it in, I want you to go boom and then come down like that. Okay, really loud. Boom! And then go down and touch the floor. Then boom! Go down and touch the floor. And then boom! And go down and touch the floor. And then boom! And go down and touch the floor. One more time. Boom! And touch the floor. Okay. Great. Now you can be seated. Now your brains are ready to learn.
So, readiness to learn. How can the Quadriciser robotic therapy system help students with multiple disabilities? Now, we have heard that here recently in the state of Tennessee, where we're located, there's a bill before the Senate to get students moving more. Now, I don't know much about the merits of that bill, but apparently one of the senators, Bill Ketron, has said, evidence shows that children who are physically active and fit tend to perform better in the classroom. It improves their concentration, cognitive functioning, and self-esteem, not to mention the health benefits by establishing healthy habits at an early age. So this is where the Quadriciser robotic therapy system comes in. Movement equals improvement. The Quadriciser is perfect for repetitive physical activity to get students active.
I learned about this school in Naperville, Illinois. Naperville had 19,000 students, and they had evolved over a 20-year period this wonderful PE program that was fitness-based, and it was every day. So the kids were spending 45 minutes, all of them moving and grooving. But what really got me on an airplane to go there was that some years before, they had taken the TIMSS test, the International Science and Math test, that every country takes every 3 years. And the US is usually in the low to mid-teens. And they took it as a country. And they came in #1 in the world in science and #6 in math. We began to take this idea to other schools. Went to an inner city school in Charleston, South Carolina, where they had no resources, one gymnasium, one PE teacher. She set up 8 different stations in the gym, had her 4th to 8th graders come in every morning for 30 minutes, had them play basketball at one station, double Dutch jump rope at another, pogo stick, hula hoops. They kept rotating, so the novelty was there. What they found in the first 4 months was a 83% drop in discipline problems. Now, it wasn't just burning off energy. What they were doing is they were turning their brains on.
Now, most of the students that he's talking about here are students without disabilities. Movement turns the brain on. But let's see how the Quadriciser robotic therapy system can do this with students with multiple disabilities as well.
Simulated walking. It mimics the natural gait pattern of human movement. By reclining the seat back, paying attention to your own body mechanics, the patient is positioned in an effort to mimic the normal gait pattern. The speed should result in a smooth and consistent range of motion in the upper and lower extremities.
One of my students in my classroom, he walks and his feet go inward, almost like scissor steps. And after he used the pediatric Quadriciser, he walked straighter. I mean, it just makes me want to cry.
Awesome.
Just after what, a half hour? How long was he on? 20 minutes, half hour? That's wonderful. We're very happy to have it.
It's okay, you're doing fine. You're gonna walk right over here to this chair. Or just let him just try it. He'll see. That's a little better, and at least you can keep your mouth on it.
Like I just did.
Oh,
Ah.
you've never
You
been
feel
able
better
to do all
about it?
this?
You've been able to do some of that.
Yeah, but I've never been able to raise my hands up.
That high?
Yes.
Emotional.
It's an emotional thing.
You ever have a
And I've never been able to cross them like that. Cross your hands.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever done that. Like when I walk, I don't scissor.
Do you want to stand up again?
You want to try it again then?
Yes.
Stand up.
Does exercise help the brain to learn better? Well, it's widely recognized that this is the case, that exercise does help the brain. And this is where the Quadriciser robotic therapy system comes in. The Quadriciser can move all limbs at the same time. It can move them in coordinated, synchronized patterns of motion. It moves both the left and right sides of the body. And so all that motion actually gets these neurons firing. Now, we've been taught, and it is true, that most of the time it's our brains causes the neurons to fire, and that's what causes the motion. But the converse really is also true. We've been told by the neuro guys that when you get motion, it causes the neurons to fire, and it has the potential to work on the brain and to turn the brain back on, to stimulate the brain.
Physical exercise turns our brains on, and all the wonderful side effects that we get help our body be healthy.
Heidi Godman, the executive director of the Harvard Health Letter, has said regular exercise changes the brain to improve memory and thinking skills. She went on to say, exercise helps memory and thinking through both direct and indirect means. The benefits of exercise come directly from its ability to reduce insulin resistance, reduce inflammation, and stimulate the release of growth factors. That is, those chemicals in the brain that affect the health of brain cells, the growth of new blood vessels in the brain, and even the abundance and survival of new brain cells. And that is why we are convinced the Quadriciser robotic therapy system has the potential to stop hopeless decline and to begin improvement today for students with multiple disabilities, particularly in that population. We say it's like plugging your brain into the Quadriciser. Movement equals improvement. Now let's switch gears for a moment. Motivation plays a huge role in a student's learning. And motivation drops when you are depressed. So if you were to become depressed and motivation drops, then the amount of learning that takes place drops. Can lack of exercise lead to depression?
Everybody in Boston was running. We began to see patients who had to stop running for the first time in their lives with an injury. First thing that happened, they got depressed. Then I began to see some people come in and say, look, I can no longer pay attention. I can no longer plan well. I'm procrastinating for the first time in my life. And these were professors from MIT and Harvard.
So in any given student population, you may have those students that are over here on the left side of the screen, most inactive, those in the middle of the screen that are moderately active, and those toward the right, which are very active. So how does a student exercise? How does a student become active if they cannot move fluidly on their own? Well, the Quadriciser robotic therapy system can help them do just that. So our goal is to get just as many students from the inactive side to become just as active as possible.
Abby's gait looks so much better after being on the Quadriciser. Her stance width is wider. She's taking greater steps. The stride length is bigger on both sides. And she's moving a lot faster, so her cadence is definitely improved.
Just again, the increased level in their physical activity throughout the day. When they get into their standing tables, they seem to be more tolerable. When they get into their walkers, they seem to perform better. When they get back into the classroom, whether it's just to a classroom table or in the standing table to work or whatever, they seem to be more attentive and more on focus. And, all those things are great for our students. And so we're excited about the future of the program. It's the social aspect of it. This is like an iPad. It's something that bridges the gap between the regular ed students that are working with our kids and our kids. It increases the circle of friends because they're doing something that's new to our kids.
I see an improvement in their gait mechanics, be it the speed that they're walking, their stride length, their stance width, and their overall just desire to move. They seem to want to do more. Also, their willingness to learn. They are just in a better mood. Just like anybody who gets exercise, you're able to focus more and think more, and we see these students having an increased readiness to learn. I would love to see this go nationwide because I think we're blessed here in Rockingham County, but I think for students like that we have in our multiple disability classes, this is just an integral part of their day, and it makes so many improvements. We spend so much money on so many pieces of equipment throughout the counties. Having something like this for every school system, be it in the elementary, the middle, and then the high school, if they could even just have maybe one model school program for it, and they base this kind of equipment in an area where everybody can access it, it would be such a well-spent money for all the benefits that it gets.
Does this Quadriciser actually have an impact on overall functioning? And now we know that according to this initial study, the answer is yes. But what I'm most excited about for them and for me is the Quadriciser provides an opportunity for each of these participants enjoy the freedom of movement without the control of an instructor. They're moving on his or her own. And also, they're now able to enjoy physical activity and movement through this wonderful modality that has never been provided and probably cannot be replicated on their own. And so I'm excited to see not only the initial impact, but as we continue this research and as we have the opportunity to follow these students through their middle school years and potentially into high school, what is the lasting impact of the Quadriciser, of continuous, repetitive, fluid movement on the overall functioning for these individuals with severe and significant disabilities.
Do you like the Quadriciser?
I more than like it. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what you have just seen is that the Quadriciser robotic therapy system can enhance and stimulate brain activity, increase readiness to learn, improve students' quality of life, and enhance parent-school rapport. We encourage you to visit our website, quadriciser.com. Please call 865-689-5003, and let's find out how we can bring the Quadriciser robotic therapy system to benefit your students with multiple disabilities. Thank you.